Hey guys, it's Nira from TechView. In front of us is the Huawei Ascend Mate 7. So the Ascend Mate 7 was just announced by Huawei IFA 2014 in Berlin, and we're here in Berlin. We've got a sample in front of us. We're going to give you a very quick hands-on. So we'll start with one of the key features, which is the display. Now, the Ascend Mate 7 is actually 28% smaller and 17% thinner than the Ascend Mate 2. Yep, Huawei have skipped a numerous amount of numbering schemes. However, at the same time, it's got the same size display. The result is an 83% screen to body ratio, which is market leading according to Huawei at least. And we've got to say, it doesn't feel like a big phone. It doesn't feel like a 6-inch display. If there's one thing they've worked on, it's the fact to make sure that the display itself is not only fantastic, but it actually just takes up as much of the handset as possible, meaning less bezels, smaller device. Display is a JDI display. It's got pixel line. It's improved, which offers improved contrast. And again, some of the angles, the viewing angles, are pretty fantastic on the handset. It really is really useful. Ascend Mate 7 runs on Emotion UI 3.0, which has been tailor-made for a large screen experience. There's several features that are impressive within this, and we'll take you through these in more detail in an upcoming video. But one of them, which is useful, is the ability to flick your handset like this. Now, we've just turned this on, so we haven't got any content to show you, but you're able to flick your handset up like this, and it brings information closer to you. So by flicking it that way, it will shunt parts of the screen down and making it easier for you to access this. Like the LG G3, Ascend Mate 7 also comes with on-screen keys that can be customized. And if you've been following me, you know I'm a big fan when you're able to add a fourth key for the notification menu. So in this case, they've got 3 here, but you're able to add a fourth key just like by tapping that, and it will bring down. Once you've enabled the fourth key, you tap on it and it'll bring down the notification menu. Again, really useful. Ascend Mate 7 has a 4100 mAh non-removable battery, and while I say this could last up to 2 days, which is really impressive. Now, we had a P7 and the P7 had pretty good battery life, so we're relatively impressed. We're looking forward to testing this out in more detail. We'll move to the back now. And next up is a couple of interesting features. First is the 13 megapixel camera, which has software image stabilization and full HD video recording. But interestingly, because it's an all-metal device, the NFC within the handset is actually built into the plastic surround around the camera. Huawei have been very clever in enabling this. Underneath the camera, you'll see the fingerprint sensor. Now, we're going to take you in more detail of this when we have a proper in-depth hands-on in a couple of days' time. But one good thing about the fingerprint sensor is it is just press, tap and hold. It's just tap. There is no pressing, there's no waiting for it to recognize. Huawei showed us this in person, and it really is within a second it's opened your handset. The other good thing about this is you don't have to do it just like that. It can be from any angle. Is 360 degrees. So if you are giving your phone out to someone like that, you can just tap it and it will unlock the handset. You don't need to turn it all the right way around. The Ascend Mate 7 is 7.9 millimeters thick. And as we mentioned earlier, the 83% screen to body ratio is market leading. We've got the single SIM version, which comes with the SIM card slot at the top and a micro SD card slot at the bottom. However, this also has a dual SIM version. Now, the interesting thing about the dual SIM version is the bottom tray, it looks identical, and the bottom tray accepts a nano SIM or a micro SD card slot. So, if you're planning to go abroad, it might be worth taking the micro SD card slot out, taking your micro SD card out, and then when you're abroad getting a nano SIM from the country you're in, popping it in there, and then you've got dual SIM working. And one of the Emotion UI tweaks is a SIM management module, which allows you to customize which of the SIM cards is used for data, calls and text messages by default, and also which has 4G access. With both, when you've got the dual SIM version, both have 4G access. So you can have 2 4G SIM cards and opt for whichever one you want. And when you do switch SIM cards, you don't need to switch the phone off. It's almost instant. And I was really impressed with this when I saw this in person. Moving on, and I'll talk about LTE itself. For those of you who don't know, Huawei is one of the market leaders in network technology, and as we've covered on the site, they've been working with EE to create an LTE Cat6 network in Shoreditch, East London. Well, east of central London. It's not actually completely east. It's just outside central London, next to Liverpool Street. Ascend Mate 7 comes with LTE Cat 6 abilities, allowing you to download up to 300 megabits per second and upload up to 100 megabits per second. But also, interestingly, it has dual antennas, which ensures better network performance. And even more impressively, it has support for all radios. Now, we specifically asked Huawei whether or not we could then use, say, if you were interested in the dual SIM version, whether you could get it in from abroad, legally, of course. We wouldn't ask you to do it otherwise, and then use the same handset with UK 4G. And they confirmed that it has, because of their because of their experience in networks technologies, they were actually able to pack it with all the sensors required. So that means you could, in theory, take yours abroad and still use 4G. It comes with an absolute array of array of frequencies that it supports, really making it a truly global phablet. Really useful if you go abroad a lot and you like to swap SIM cards a lot. At which point, I'd probably recommend the dual SIM version, especially if you have, example, got one number that always needs to be on. This will prevent you having to buy a second phone to use it with. Huawei Ascend Mate 7 is powered by a Kirin 925 processor, which, again, Huawei's experience within network infrastructure means that the Kirin 925 supports all radio frequencies, has the dual antenna, which allows it to both transmit and receive from either antenna. So if you are holding it like this, it can transmit from the top, and if you're holding it from the top, it can transmit from the bottom. Unlike other handsets that have dual antennas, the good thing about this one is these both transmit and receive from either antenna, whereas some have a main antenna with a supporting antenna secondary. The front-facing camera is a 5 megapixel snapper, which is wide angle and allows you to capture great selfies. And the Ascend Mate 7 is going to be available in Obsidian Black, Moonlight Silver and Amber Gold. We've got the Moonlight Silver version here, which is white, and it looks quite nice. At the end of the day, it's a full metal finish. But despite the fact that it is a 6-inch phone made of metal, it's actually relatively light. There's going to be two versions of the handset, a standard version with 2 gigabytes of RAM and 16 gigabytes of internal storage, and again a micro SD card slot, and a premium version, 3 gigabytes RAM, 32 gigabyte storage, micro SD card slot. For both of these handsets, the micro SD card slot supports up to 32 gigabytes. However, you're probably going to be able to use it with much more storage. So yeah, this has been a very quick hands-on with the Huawei Ascend Mate 7. We'll give you a proper in-depth look within a couple of days. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. Hit the share button to help us and help other people see this video. And let us know down below what you think of this video and also what you think of the Ascend Mate 7. Check out the rest of our EFA coverage, and I'll see you very soon.